A Song of Ice and Fire, at its core, is about the human condition. It's about how Tyrion copes with being a dwarf, and not only being hated by everyone around him, but being hated by his own family. It's about how does Jon Snow cope with being a bastard and not even being welcome in his own home because of Catelyn, and not having anything to inherit, not knowing who his mother is. And then even after he's at the wall, once he sees what the Night's Watch really is, murderers, thieves, rapists, he initially feels betrayed by his own father. He feels betrayed because his father didn't tell him what the Night's Watch really was. So you get that struggle. And then it's about Daenerys and how she deals with being abused by her brother, being sold into slavery and raped over and over and over again. You know, if it wasn't for these characters and the struggles that they go through, this story would not be nearly as interesting, right? Because people think it's all about the dragons and the White Walkers and, you know, the big battles and armies and stuff. That is all backdrop. That is all just setting. And George R. R. Martin confirms this. He's said many times before that there's the only thing that's worth writing about is the human heart in conflict with itself. And that's why these books are so popular, I think. They really are a different kind of fantasy where you really have characters that are nuanced. They are not black and white. There's a lot of ambiguity going on. Characters in the series have a tendency to hurt you as the reader because it'll be someone that you really liked that'll do something awful and you will feel betrayed. I find that when I'm reading A Song of Ice and Fire that I'm very swayed by the characters' emotions. Like, I really feel what they feel. I feel like when George R. R. Martin is writing, he's really becoming these characters. He's becoming Daenerys. As strange as that is, Daenerys is George R. R. Martin. George R. R. Martin becomes a 13-year-old exiled princess. And then, at the drop of a hat, he is a dwarf who walks with a waddle and is really witty. So many authors can't do that. Make the characters feel as real as he does. It's like literally genius level writing. And so you take all of these well-defined, amazing, in-depth characters and then you thrust them into an equally in-depth, immersive, vast world that's just so imaginative and so out there and yet still so similar to our own history. Reading A Song of Ice and Fire, it really does feel like this could have happened. And that's a sense that you really don't get with something like, and I'm not trying to bash any fantasy books. I love these books here. That's something that you don't get with something like maybe Malazan Book of the Fallen, which kind of goes over the top with like a lot of the magic, in my opinion. Or even The Wheel of Time, which kind of is like more on the over the top with the magic sometimes too. A Song of Ice and Fire is very low magic. Like, the magic is very much present, but it's so grounded in reality that it feels like, you know, it's justified. Like, Melisandre makes a point of saying that magic, you know, it has a price. At Mirror Mazador, only death can pay for life. It's not like you can just do magic, like Harry Potter waving a wand. The way the characters behave, and the very grounded nature of the magic in this world, in addition to the fact that you're limited to a POV, so you only really know what that character knows at the time, it creates a very immersive, realistic experience. And then, underneath all of that, A Song of Ice and Fire is just full of, throughout, so much powerful symbolism and amazing character archetypes that are turned on their heads. There's so much going on beneath the surface. References to H.P. Lovecraft, to Nietzsche, to Robert Jordan, to Frank Herbert, to all sorts of literature. It's all in there, and it all fits together. There's really not another book series quite like A Song of Ice and Fire. And is there any wonder that I'm so obsessed with it? It has the potential to be talked about endlessly. You could discuss A Song of Ice and Fire endlessly. And I know because I have been doing that. like hours and hours and hours and hours of audio on this channel right now of just A Song of Ice and Fire. We discussing different aspects of it. That's how rich and detailed it is. Now, George R. Martin recently stated that The Winds of Winter, which is the next book in the series, as you all know, will not be coming out this year, and he stated this on his blog. And, a lot of people are even more upset than they were before. A lot of people really are waiting for this book to come out, myself included. A lot of people really have grown impatient, and they're tired of waiting. But the reason that these books take so long to write is because of how rich and detailed they are. A series like this is a lifetime of effort. It's something that can't be rushed. A lot of people these days are very pessimistic. They don't think this book is ever going to come out. And really, I think it's reflective, and I've said this before, it's reflective of our culture. We want everything right when we want it, at the moment that we want it, and we're not willing to wait for anything anymore. I think a lot of people are also upset that George R. Martin is working on other projects, and we haven't seen any sign of progress for The Winds of Winter. So I think a lot of people are upset about that, because he also announced the new Fire and Blood history book about the Targaryen history. So a lot of people are saying, why have you been working on this but not The Winds of Winter? It's a reasonable complaint, I think, but it's George R. Martin's decision what he works on, and what fulfills him. He should be allowed to work on what makes him happy, and not be forced to work on what you want just because you wanted. The Winds of Winter is probably the most anticipated book of the past decade, right? Everyone is waiting on this book to be released, and there's a lot of pressure. And of course, George R. Martin wants to release something that's good and not something that's lukewarm, right? So he's a perfectionist, and he's talked before about writing entire pages and then deleting the page because he doesn't like it and starting over. So I feel like he has that perfectionist mentality, which I also have, so I can relate. Like, if something's not how I want it, I tend to kind of start over or delete a bunch and do a lot of rewrites or whatever. So I definitely understand that. And though we're all very excited to read The Winds of Winter, everybody wants this book, does not mean that he is obligated to rush it out. So we just have to wait. All we can do is wait. And really, complaining is not going to help. Complaining is just not going to help. Tweeting nasty things to George R. Martin is not going to help. Everyone needs to calm down. And there are other things to read, too. There are things other than A Song of Ice and Fire to read, believe it or not. So I just wanted to get that out. Thanks everyone for watching. I got some new videos coming this week. I've got a Song of Ice and Fire thing coming out this week. And yeah, so look forward to that. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more ideas of Ice and Fire.